Welcome to the new Overlords Podcast. I'm Max, that's Sema, and we talk about video games. And coming up this week, we're going to talk about Resident Evil, where we're getting double the evil for double the fun, or double the evil fighters for double the fun. Tale of Two Residents. I don't know what we're getting there.
Yeah, right.
We're going to talk about SWTOR, who's got a new update. Sema's going to tell us all about gearing up in World of Warcraft Midnight, and I'm still playing some Rust, so we'll talk about all that stuff plus some news. But first, hello there, Sema. How are you? How are you doing today, Sema? How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm actually kind of looking forward to hearing you talk about Resident Evil because the trailers are pretty intriguing. Yeah, and it's a long-standing franchise
Yes, it
and
is.
still very popular, which I love. So yeah, I'm doing great. How about you, Max?
I am also doing great, and it's been pretty busy. We've got Garden Indigo open beta coming up next week, so we were pushing to get a build out today. We'll do some bug fixing and do another release candidate build on Friday and push that out next week. So it's been busy, but I did get plenty of not plenty. I got a little bit of gaming time in here and there on the side, taking breaks. Enough to be able to try out Resident Evil, which I did really like. Again, as I do with these RPG games, I don't know if I'm going to finish it, but I played enough of it to really get a sense of how it works, what it looks like, how good it is. And they do some really interesting things, which it'll be fun to talk about. So,
Cool.
But yeah, if anyone wants to get on that open beta, it's going to be open signups on Steam starting on Tuesday, which is St. Patrick's Day. I was always going to say St. Patrick's Day in the U.S. is St. Patrick's Day all over the world, right? It's just St. Patrick's Day, right?
Isn't it kind of a U.S. thing?
I mean, it's only celebrated in that way in the U.S. I think it's now also celebrated in that way in Ireland, but for the tourists. So, I think so, but I think it's a thing. Anyway, it's St. Patrick's Day.
Isn't Chicago where they dye the river green?
Yes, it is. We've got some Chicago connections. Resident Evil is set in Chicago, even though they claim that it's not. So we'll talk about that too. But yeah, the morning of St. Patrick's Day, they dye the Chicago River green. They dump a bunch of biodegradable safe dye, and the whole river turns bright
I would
green.
think it would take a lot of dye.
It would take. I don't know what they do. It's some sort of powdered dye that they drop in. You can watch them drop it off the bridges, the one bridge. I think it's just the one bridge, and it's not super. I mean, the river's kind of greenish to start, so I don't think they have to dye it very much. They're just brightening it up a little bit. So it's a.
Then does it just start to run less green after a few days, or
it washes out by the end of the day. It's or probably even after a couple hours. So it's like a thing that happens in the morning, and then there's the parade, and that I think that's about it. The river is now fed from the lake, so it feeds. It washes out pretty quick, and it is actually a very clean river, and nice river, because it's coming from Lake Michigan, which is really nice. Anyways, St. Patrick's Day, Garden Indigo, open beta, be there. And now, other game news.
Good news, everyone!
In the news, we got a SWTOR update, Star Wars The Old Republic 7.8.1. We've talked about what was going to be in it. We did get it, though, on Tuesday. And we played it. You played some, I played some, right, Sema?
correct?
Seasons are back on the menu. We got a new season, right?
Yes, which I feel good about. I'm glad we have a new season, because yeah, I thought I like playing the season objectives, and I don't like not having them.
I like them, and I don't like not having them. I like having them, and I don't like not having them, ironically.
Correct. So that's good. Even though these are rewards that could have been on a vendor, for instance, as many people have pointed out. Instead, we have to do seasons, targets for them, but that's fine. I'm fine with it.
I am I'm not so enamored with this particular season, but the season model is fine and a fine thing to have those kinds of activities to do. This particular season, I'm both not all that enamored with the core activity, which is killing the DVL bosses, which are these named NPCs that spawn in certain areas and take, pretty much 15 to 20 people minimum to kill. And there's still, even then, a lot of deaths. They have a lot of bullshit abilities that will just kill a lot of people constantly. So they're annoying. And now we have to kill a couple of them every single week, if you want to complete the meta achievement. And we have to do this for about 15 weeks in a row. Like, ugh.
I get you, and I share that feeling, but I also feel like it's really good for us because now every week there's always something that we can schedule for MFN, and we do kind of have a rhythm of how we get it done, and yeah, I think it'll be fine.
It is an open world thing where a lot of people on the server can sort of come together and do it as well. So I can see it being a good activity for that. I still would rather it was something else, like Dantooine or even just straight up world bosses or something.
Cool.
It is fine. We're fine. We're all fine here. And then I am also not all that fond of the rewards, but a lot of people are because it's key rewards from many of the past seasons. This is season 10, and it's key rewards from many of the past seasons, and a lot of people are really happy with that. So that's cool. I don't mind other people. I don't really care about the season rewards typically anyway. I put them all in I've got like a bank alt that just has them all.
Right. I'm kind of annoyed when they dump them all into my mailbox because I'm like, instead of going, oh gee, these cool rewards, I'm like, I gotta deal with all this crap now.
Right.
Well, I wish anyone listening doesn't take that personally, but there are a lot of new rewards on this too. It's just the companions that are repeat.
Yeah, a couple of those key companions. There's other cool stuff that they're certainly added in, and I know Cartel Market isn't as fun, but there's some really cool stuff that they've been like building and adding to the game through there as well. And then you can get that stuff in game from other players on the GTN. There's some really neat stuff that they're still building.
Like I was saying to someone in MFN 2 weeks ago, it's like, oh, these that's a really cool mount, and they go, Sema, you have that mount. I don't have that mount, and they go, yes, you do. It was in the track, and I'm like, oh, then it's in my mail.
Right. We also got the spring event that they invented, I think 2 years ago. That's back this spring. Yeah. It's called Spring Abundance Festival, and that's a good little one. It's one of the better events if people haven't seen it or done it. It really across any game. It's got like a whole new area on one of the planets, and you sort of zone into it, and you basically are kind of like helping out on a farm that you almost get co-ownership of, but everybody is sort of in around. A lot of other players are in this zone as well. It's not like you're by yourself, but there's a Star Wars version of fishing with a droid that you get to do. There's like a little farming minigame. It's not like you're actually farming, like you plant something and you come back later and it grows. But there's like a little farming minigame where you use another droid to like spray weeds and do this stuff. And you got to run around and do a bunch of things. And then you get a bunch of rewards off of that. The biggest thing that I haven't done yet, but because we just got it, but I'm looking forward to is more story. So Masters Enigma storyline. We are pretty much either at the penultimate or the pre-penultimate story update before kind of like the end of the current storyline.
Finale. Yeah.
Right. So the summer update may be the finale, and then the fall update may be like a transition, I would think. And then the winter update we expect would be the beginning of a new storyline for 8.0. So this is still a story update, and the spring and fall updates aren't usually big story updates, but they did have story to catch up on, so that's why that's in here. And then, in theory, we'll get the finale of the story in summer. So it's cool.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens to Malgus if if he survives or dies or goes missing again so that he can come back again in the future or what. I wouldn't mind Malgus sticking around, like potentially even like becoming the emperor. I mean, you need that kind of like persistent character bad guy. Like right now we have like no emperor. We have an emperor, like there's two different emperors because of the way stories and choices matter. It's either Emperor Sena or Emperor some other guy who I don't even know his name. And that's not good when you don't even know who the immortal emperor of the Sith Empire is. So I wouldn't mind if we got Malgus sort of anchored in for another generation, even if it fades into the background just as Tiz takes over as the emperor, because I think he's a strong enough character that he could also carry into canon eventually. So I don't know. What do you think? What do you think of that? You think he's going to get wiped off the map? Or there's a chance of him sticking around?
That's a great question because I could see it going either way, because there was an early time where we quote unquote defeated him, but he survived.
Yes.
And so I don't know, maybe they might feel like, oh, we don't want to do that again. So, and we've imprisoned him once already.
Yep.
So maybe we'll feel like, oh, we need to really like do something, remarkable here. But on the other hand, he's popular.
Yeah. Right. And he's a strong character. And he's got a lot of lore. He's got he's got his own book, his own novel, and it's good. As a villain, as a Sith Lord. A Sith Lord where it's even somewhat sympathetic to some of his ideas while still recognizing that he's a villain and he's evil. So,
like, I want to visit him, in his retirement on his like farm on Dantooine and ask him questions about life.
Like Thanos at the beginning of Endgame, where the Avengers like find him on a farm.
Yes, and like Thrall when he's like in WoW.
Malgus has got his shirt off. He's hammering away at a forge, and he's just like, he's stripped of all of his power. He's retired to a farm. He's kind of like under house arrest, but you could still like go there and like visit with him and talk to him, and he'll tell you, he somewhat laments some of his actions. I mean, like killing his own girlfriend to eliminate his weakness. So maybe he's reflecting on some of that in his old age. Yeah, this is really good. You got it, Sema. We should do that. Call up these two on the screen, Ashley and
Caitlin.
Caitlin and Ashley. Caitlin's the writer, and Ashley's the creative cinematic lead and one of the creative directors. They can make it happen. So, all right, let's move on to less fun news. This is another in a continuing trend, but hopefully just the final dregs of bad news coming from games jobs. EA did a big layoff this past week, and it was across the studios that have been making Battlefield. So they have sort of like a couple sub-studios that they own that have been making Battlefield. In fact, what did they say? It was Criterion, DICE, Ripple Effect, and Motive Studios. And that's tough. It's tough news, and it's bad for all of those people, obviously, and we don't like to hear that at all. The one straw man argument that I had against what some people are kind of like saying, kind of misunderstanding with this kind of thing is they keep saying, oh, Battlefield, sold a bunch of copies, and this shows how evil corporations are. They sold a bunch of games, and now they're going to fire people. People don't get fired because of what happened in the past. They get fired because of what's going to happen next. And in a weird way, the games industry, it kind of works inefficiently. And it made me think about the movie industry. Now, the EA owning all of these studios and then having to carry that headcount is probably a bad way to go about it. And that's not the way movie studios work. Movie studios don't like hire 1,000 people to make Avengers, and then Avengers hits theaters and they have to fire, 950 of those people. They don't work that way. They've got some people at the studio. They've got like this studio leadership and people that are, like do the marketing and scripting and that kind of thing. And then they subcontract out and they bring in the special effects studio and the union teams that are doing different parts of the creating a movie job. Some game studios kind of work that way as well. And I think that's a much better model for everybody, and they should be doing more of that going forward. Because in a cyclical publishing arena, like how game studios work, you can't carry that headcount, especially when it starts growing bigger and bigger and bigger. You can't carry that headcount consistently. So why would you think that you could? It is poor management, but it's not exactly for the reasons that people think. It's a poor structural management, not I'm evil because I'm laying off these people, because it's not good for getting laid off sucks, but it's also weird and not good for your career to say, oh, hey, we made a lot of money, so I guess stick around because we don't really want to fire you, but we got nothing for you to do because we're at a cyclical market. So just sit at your desk and look at the wall.
Well, I mean that's where the mismanagement comes in, right? Like,
Yeah.
Because, and I'm not saying that Blizzard never has layoffs, but a company like Blizzard is working on the next game all the time. So if you, so you could be in a position where you didn't have a bunch of employees with nothing to do.
Yes, I would say that the opportunity to do that is the exception rather than the rule, though, for the way video games work these days.
Probably.
You would have to have it's only like the small handful of the most successful franchises that can sustain an ongoing, consistent level of employment. Or real small ones, like Hello Games.
Yeah.
Because that's another model to go after, is not to carry this, not to make these $500 million games, but to make the $5 million games. And then that kind of staff can be working on the next $5 million game. And you can carry a smaller amount of headcount for much longer. You can't carry 1,000 people doing nothing for 6 months. Anyway, it sucks. It still sucks. But EA, don't hire a bunch of people next time you have a good idea. Figure out what's going to happen when you're done, and you won't have to fire all of those people. And those executives, tie executive compensation also to the management of people's careers. And I think you will also find yourself in a slightly better situation in the long term as well. All right. Coming soon, in the coming soon or just got here front, Slay the Spire 2 is out. We didn't really have that on the list. It wasn't a key thing I had on my wish list, but by all accounts, it's really good. And I could see myself potentially wanting to try it out because it's core, it started a whole genre. Sort of like this Slay the Spire. The Spire's like using cards to do the battles kind of thing. There's hundreds of these games now that come out, monthly that are sort of like based on what Slay the Spire started. And by all accounts, this is just another really good sequel to Slay the Spire 1, which is awesome. Good to hear. We also said, and this is something I was waiting for, and I might deal with and play with this weekend, is Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 is on Xbox Game Pass. So is The Witcher 3, The Wild Hunt, but I have that on Steam, so I didn't need it on Game Pass. But yeah, you can play The Witcher, Sema, and I will play Kingdom Come Deliverance 2.
Oh, right.
You can toss a coin to your Witcher. When is the next Witcher game coming out? those trailers were so good, and we haven't seen anything on it in a while, so it's probably not coming out this year. I think it's next year at the earliest. Such a long development time. Don't fire everybody as soon as it's done. CDPR. Also, in other kind of fun news, getting to some of the rants that I've had lately, Marathon has not been murdered by the haters. And that's good to hear. It's, it's not a giant success. It's not, it's not like game of the year, but a lot of people like it. A lot of people are playing it. They're continuing to play it. It's getting some good press. There's a couple things that people don't like about it, like how some of the, some of the cash shop kind of stuff works. People aren't all that thrilled about, but nothing too egregious. It's not doing like pay to play or any of that kind of thing. And Bungie's still working on refining all of their strategy as far as that goes. But the people that are playing it are saying, this is a fun game and it's got some good twists and it's good. Bungie knows how to make a shooter back from their Halo days, and let's have fun with it. And people are. Look, it's even very positive reviews on Steam. That's great. That's great to see. Because again, there's room for more games. We like games. And we don't have to... Oh, what did I find? Here, Game Rant. This article. This is what we don't need, guys. Marathon versus Arc Raiders on Steam player count. Let's do some comparison and decide which one's the winner and which one's the loser. Because we know it's a zero-sum game and we only want one game that we're ever going to play ever again. This is not a helpful article. It's not a zero-sum game. You don't need to compare everything just because you have some metrics in your back pocket to write an article to make someone win and someone lose. I know it gets clicks, but not useful. Not useful for people that actually like games and want more games to be made. So stop it.
Stop.
What else did we see? Oh, let's talk about this for a second. Coming soon, coming on April 17th. There's a demo available for this now. It's been out for a few weeks. Game called Pragmata. It's another Capcom game. I think just in the same way that I really liked what Obsidian did last year, and I declared Obsidian as one of the studios of the year just because they did a great job. Capcom. It could be Capcom as studio of the year this year just because of a couple breakout hits and some really nice looking, good, fun games. Pragmata looks pretty interesting, and I may try to play the demo. It's got a weird little fun twist to it where
like a hook.
Yeah. Good. Yeah, that's the right word. It's got a good hook to it. It's sci-fi, which I like. It's a sci-fi RPG shooter, adventure shooter. You find this. I didn't get all of the backstory, so it's not going to be 100% fact of what I'm saying to describe it. But you're a spaceman in a spacesuit. You get to this. It looks like you're on the moon, maybe, and you find this girl. This little girl is there. I don't know if you even know if she's human, but because she has like some weird hacking powers she does with her mind, I think. So maybe she's not even human. But she looks like a little girl. She acts like a little girl. And you kind of, quote unquote, I think you're kind of like rescuing her. You put her on your back in a backpack. She's like this little 6-year-old girl. She rides around on your back in a backpack and both helps you with her hacking powers and chats. You have like this little running dialogue between the main character and the little girl the whole time. And it's so far everything I saw in the trailers and in some of the gameplay for the demo that I watched. I think I watched one of major streamers playing some of it. It's fun. It's good. It's good little dialogue. They kind of like chat back and forth, and she's talks like a little girl. And Hugh, she keeps like pointing stuff out to him. She's like, Hugh, over there, let's jump up to that thing. So she kind of like helps you out in the arena. She has her powers, so she'll say, oh, wait, like, give me a try. And she'll do like a little hacking thing. And there's real-time hacking mini games while you're shooting, which is another kind of gameplay twist. But I like it. I like the hook, as you said. What did you think when you saw this?
Oh, when you first were describing it to me, I wasn't too interested, but then when watching the trailers, I do think it looks very nice because it is different, which with science fiction games, there's not always something different.
Right. Oh, did you see that effect? I don't know if you saw that effect. It's a Fresnel effect. So watch, he shoots his gun, and then there's this Fresnel pulse that spreads out right there. Boom. It's like this ring that distorts the air as it
Oh yeah,
pops out.
interesting.
I made one of those for Garden and a Goat, so you'll keep an eye out for that in a couple of our special effects that shows up. I was pretty excited about creating that. Anyway, so yeah, may play that, and that's coming in April. And then before that, which we keep talking about, which everybody's talking about, and we do predict will be a candidate for runner-up for Game of the Year, is Crimson Desert. Crimson Desert is coming out next week, a little over a week, 8 days from now. So end of next week, we will get Crimson Desert. I, again, predict that this is going to be big. It looks like it's got a lot going for it. So we'll get to see it when that comes out. All right, Sema. This podcast is brought to you by, as we said, Garden and a Goat, the upcoming game from Contemplation Games, going into open beta starting next Tuesday, St. Patrick's Day. Sign up on Steam. We're excited about that. We'll have a couple little trailer. We've got one new trailer video already out. Probably going to do like a trailer short to announce the open beta. And we'll see. I think there's even maybe just a couple content creators that might be playing the game. It's an exciting time for us. And then we're going to be working for a couple more months, trying to push for Steam Next Fest, and then potentially early access as early as late summer, early fall. So sort of like July timeframe is what we're hoping for. So keep an eye out for that. gardenandagoat.com for all the links. Also brought to you by AIE-S, AIE-Guild.org. That's the game community where we're doing all the stuff like Star Wars The Old Republic. That's super fun for us. Half the people in the chat room right now, if not more, are all AIE team members who come and hang out with us and play games there. You can certainly join and find more at AIE-Guild.org. And as ever, this is brought to you by all of you out there watching, listening, and hanging out with us live in the chat room right now. It's really cool for us, so really appreciate it. And with that, I think we can talk about some Evil.
It looks like meat's back on our menu, boys.
No way. God. Finally.
That's not what I meant to play. I don't have a Resident Evil Requiem one, but this is more appropriate. I'll play this one. Oh, what the heck? It's broken. Fresh raccoon meat. Why did my fresh raccoon meat button break? Anyway, it's kind of a fresh raccoon meat situation that we've got here going on in Resident Evil. We got zombies right here in Raccoon City.
We
got zombies with a capital Z, and it starts with rhymes with pool. It's Zambool. Yeah, we got a zombie game, and it is, by all accounts, and by my experience, a really good zombie game. You want to hear about it, Sema?
Yeah.
Because I am gonna talk about it. It is cool. It is a very good game. It's getting high ratings, high reviews. Everybody's really liking it. It is also extremely pretty game. And gave me some ideas. Like, why don't we have more animated series that are based on kind of this technology rather than everything being cel shaded? We still have like cartoons everywhere. I don't know why we don't have more.
Yeah, and one of the things that got me when I was watching the trailers was, at least especially the initial, like the reveal trailer, was her hair.
Yeah.
Which is, it was like wispy, but not anime, but not super realistic. It was just really nice.
It is good hair to the point where the physics on the hair are quite good. In the opening kind of quest, opening part of the story, she gets caught and captured by the bad guy and strapped to a table where she's hanging upside down, like kind of like, at an angle, but like hanging upside down against the wall. and her hair is all like falling.
Yeah.
It's like falls naturally, and the camera is like right side up on her face, but her hair is all like standing up, and you can tell
Yeah.
that she's upside down because
Right.
you know what that looks like. So then the camera slowly pans back and turns over, and you can see, and yeah, it looks good. But like, look at this opening scene. This
Yeah. With her glasses.
it's getting closer and closer to being I mean, we're past Uncanny Valley,
Yeah.
and why don't they just like get some people in mocap and film a fun series?
Yeah, I know.
Do 8 episodes, 10 episodes where they're just using engines like this to create television. I don't know.
Well,
Sema.
yeah,
I
like
don't know.
well, like that show, what was it that you watched last year, the year before, that was a bunch of shorts by Blur?
Yes. Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah. Secret Level. They should
Yes,
do more
Secret
of that. Secret Level is a very good example. It must be, well, to do to do something custom and one off like that, it's a lot of work. If they created a series though that they could do a whole season, you're going to have to do all of the upfront work, probably more than you would much more than you would to create like an animated series. But then once you've got all of the assets and the character models and they're all rigged and everything, then you could just do, episode after episode. You could do like a Brooklyn Nine-Nine because they're all in the station 90% of the time. You've got all of like the scenes and the set dressing and all of that. You're just going to have people voice things and do funny things and read the script. I don't know why they don't do that. Yeah, there she is. Look, she's all sweaty. It looks really good. Anyway, let's talk about the game. So this is Resident Evil. This is about the 9th Resident Evil. Resident Evil 9 is kind of where we're at this point. Sold about 5 million copies in the last week. Really good for them. Certainly a strong success. Good job, Capcom. So we are looking forward to more from Capcom even this year, but this is a strong showing and hopefully will continue to propel them into the future. You did mention engine. What engine is this made on? They have their own engine. So they call it the RE engine. And there's a little bit of controversy about that because they claim the RE engine does not stand for Resident Evil. It stands for Reach for the Moon. It's the Reach for the Moon engine that they made when they made Resident Evil. Now, Resident Evil is not called Resident Evil in Japan, where it was invented and where it's authored. However, I think it was Resident Evil 6 or 7 was called, I forgot what they call it, something like, biohazard badness. But the 6 or 7 version, when they created this new version of the Evil, I think maybe it was 5. Even in Japan, the name of that one was Biohazard Badness: Resident Evil. And that was the one where they had their final version of the Resident Evil engine. So it's the Resident Evil engine. Anyway, it's great. It's obviously well suited for what they're trying to do here. And maybe not for every game. And so you got to be careful by saying like, oh, every game should be using this engine. You can't do that. There is a specifically tuned for the kind of game that they're playing. So let's talk about the kind of game. This is a narrative adventure game, and there is action interspersed with horror puzzles, environmental diegetic puzzles. You're trying to like find your way out of a scary situation. And in this game, again, it got a little bit of controversy. It goes back and forth between Leon and Grace are the two main characters. So Grace is the blonde-haired person you've seen in all the trailers. This is Grace. She's a mild-mannered, kind of like milquetoast, bookish FBI agent. I don't understand. I think it kind of like went a little bit too far in like making her a little bit.
Yeah, that did cross my mind too. It's sort of like, how is she supposed to be the hero of this horrific thing if she's afraid of her boss to the extent where she drops her stuff?
Yeah, and that's, I see why that person, and I'll explain why her personality is really useful for what happens in the story, but I didn't buy that she's an FBI agent and that afraid. If she was like a journalist or something, then maybe. But you don't get to be an FBI agent by being, like a wimpy wimp. Now she does have some trauma. That's why she's in an extra bad situation. There's a couple compounding factors. So we're not going to try not to spoil anything, but there's a little bit of what's going on in the intro. You're getting it in the backstory. You're seeing it in the trailers. Her mother was killed. She basically has to go back to the scene of the crime. She also, kind of like in the opening sequences, gets captured by one of the main bad guys. It's this guy, Dr. Victor Vasilyev, or I forgot what his last name is. And he's like a mad scientist, yada, yada, yada. We won't get into that whole part of the story, but he like needs her blood. So she starts off, not only is she traumatized in this scary hotel where she basically witnessed her mother's death, violent death, horrific death, and she's woozy from blood loss and all of that. So you put all of those things together, and it fits really well as a character who now has to navigate a horror environment and doesn't have, cannot even be a full action hero, because she's still like a little woozy. She keeps tripping. She's trying to escape. She's, trying to hold it together. That actually felt really right and good. I just didn't buy that she was an FBI agent at the start. Does that make sense for like why that?
Yes, it does make sense. Plus, it's a very useful tool for fiction in general. Is that the everyman has to grow into the role of hero because he's the guy that's there. In this case, she's the guy that's there.
Yes. The other thing with this is you kind of play half the game as Leon and half the game as Grace. Leon is the action star. He's the shooter, fighter, chainsaws and axes. We'll get to that a little bit. Grace barely fights. So Grace's job when you play the game is navigating the environment, avoiding conflict, and finding your way to sort of through the puzzles of the environment to escape, escape each situation. And that tends to work pretty well. And that's why her character, in the way that she is, you wouldn't buy that she's an action star. She doesn't need to be, and she's not. So I think even in, I don't want to spoil anything big, but the diegetic puzzles that you have to, and I keep saying diegetic. I love that word. So sorry. The in-world puzzles. So it's not like a mini game pops up on the screen and you have to do a lockpick mini game. There's not that. You need to go find the screwdriver to open this, this fuse panel. Okay. You found you like look in the environment and it's relatively obvious, but there's a note that says, note to staff, we moved the screwdriver into the box in the nursing station. So then you got to go to the nursing station and find the toolbox. Well, toolbox is on too high of a shelf. You have to find a way to get up on the top shelf. All while a giant horrific zombie keeps dropping through the ceiling and coming after you. So what you need to then do is a combination of that basic puzzle thing while you're also like lead the zombie away and then circle back. And that particular zombie can't go in the light. So you need to like turn on some lights to block the zombie off and then circle around, but then it comes through the ceiling. So you have to do something quick. That tends to work really well from both a sort of like that two-tiered puzzle perspective. And Grace is a great protagonist for doing that thing. So it works really good. And then you switch over and they do this relatively smoothly. They switch between the two characters relatively smoothly, and they switch between kind of cutscene and gameplay kind of seamlessly to a point where it almost kind of like annoyed me a little bit. Like I've got my like hands on my keyboard and mouse the whole time, like I'm controlling, and then it kind of like turns into a cutscene where you like lose control of the character, and you have to like wait for it to like finish that. It doesn't like flip to a cutscene. It just becomes a scripted scenario, which is it's seamless. So narratively, when you're watching it happen on screen, it's really, really good. But when you're playing it, I did find myself like, if I don't have to like be tensed up with my fingers on the keyboard and mouse ready to like block or run away, let me know so I can like sit back and take a breath or something, or take a drink of my water.
Right. Sip of tea.
Yeah, exactly. So there's some, reading notes, there's keeping a journal, there's finding clues, there's finding keys to get into the right room. There's all of that kind of thing that's really, really works well with how Grace works. But then, then it'll definitely flip over. Then the scene will switch and it'll focus on Leon in sort of like cutscene that again morphs into being able to control Leon and run around. And Leon is your action star, right? So he's the star. He's been in the Resident Evil games plenty of times in the past. Everybody knows who Leon is. And he's got guns and he picks up weapons off the ground, like the chainsaw. We've seen that in the trailer. That was fun. Using the chainsaw and having the chainsaw used against you is fun. He's got a hatchet that you can sort of like quick swap to as a weapon. And I really liked what they did with this, which was when you're using a gun, you have limited ammo. You need to pick up ammo in the environment. You can't just shoot willy-nilly forever. When you're using your hatchet doesn't like disappear. In fact, maybe, I don't think it does. I think because it's named. I forgot what the name of it is. It's like Loretta. It's not Loretta. It's like Vengeance or something. His hatchet is named Vengeance. But you can't use it endlessly. You have to sharpen it. And he pulls out a physical sharpening stone in the middle of the fight and goes whoosh, 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 to sharpen the hatchet as if it's a reload mechanic.
Yeah, I kind of like that. I think it's creative.
And it works. It works well as a reload mechanic. I like that. I don't know if that was in previous Resident Evil games, but it definitely worked. And I like playing as Leon. And Leon's super cool. He drives a cool car. He wears all leather. He talks really tough. He's a special agent. So he's not FBI. He's like bioterrorism. So he doesn't know, they don't know each other, but he does catch up with her relatively early in the game. And then they get separated again. So that's all kind of like part of the ongoing story and why you keep flipping back and forth between them. They're sort of like both in the same area a lot of the time, but separated where they each have to be doing their own thing. And Leon does the killing of all the zombies, and Grace does the avoiding and sneaking around stuff. When they first get separated, I thought that was kind of funny. And I know why it needs to happen again from the game mechanics perspective, but Leon gives her, he's got a couple guns, and he gives her his big bad gun. And it's this big, nasty gun, but it's like a one bullet in it. Grace basically gets one bullet at a time, kind of. So she can use it once in a while. And she's got a couple kind of like nemesis zombies that sort of like stalk her for a while. So she can use it once in a while to like fend off, but she doesn't do like a bunch of fighting with it. But I did think,
I kind of like this though. It's sort of like, when people complain that a game is too much stealth and puzzles,
yeah,
or too much action and killing, and they're saying, okay, we're going to give you both.
it did remind me of Assassin's Creed Shadows, which
Yeah,
I really liked, but a lot of people didn't. A lot of people criticized it, and I think they didn't give it a chance, where they're going to play this and they're going to say it works perfectly, and it's the same thing. In fact, this is even more on rails. It's like you don't get to pick who you play when and for what parts. Whereas in Assassin's Creed Shadows, you did. You had flexibility to say, for this kind of mission, I want to switch over to this character, and this kind of mission, I want to switch over. I want to go more stealthy on this one, because you could do either for any of them, which I really liked. And I thought that worked really well. It is also potentially a weakness that a couple people have talked about with this game, which is they would potentially have liked a full game for both of these, because they're both good, but like you're only getting like half of a game, because it's only like kind of like a 10-hour game. So you're only getting like 5 hours of the Grace game and 5 hours of the Leon game, and you might feel a little unsatisfied with each of them separately, but hopefully the whole is some greater than the sum of its parts, which is what most people feel like by the end. But yeah, so Leon's cool. He's got his whole backstory. This is in a new city. It's called Renwood. And did they show it in the beginning here? I gotta find it in that other trailer. They were asked where is this set? Is this in Chicago? And they said it's not in Chicago, but they're lying. Because it is totally Chicago. They show her walking down a Chicago street under the L tracks. And I was so excited when I saw this. I was like, do you guys see this? This is Chicago. It's set in Chicago. And I did. I went to the web and I looked it up. I'm like, this is set in Chicago, right? And they're like, no, it's a fictional city of Renwood. They say Midwest US, but not Chicago. What other city, Midwest big city has L tracks? None.
No, there's no way. But I mean, I can sort of understand wanting. I can sort of understand wanting to stay away from terms like, parallel universe and blah 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 blah. Instead, just say not Chicago instead of,
which is fine.
And then it doesn't have to be perfectly accurate, right?
Right.
And can stay sort of timeless.
Yeah, here she is. She's walking down the street under the L tracks here. To such a degree that I kept looking around for the Billy Goat Tavern. And I was like looking around for places I knew in Chicago as you're sort of walking down the street under the L tracks. It's Chicago.
Instead they have Grill 14.
The famous Grill 14 and the Renwood Hotel. Those kind of like rundown hotels still exist in Chicago too. This one's even shut down because there was murders and been a big fire and that kind of thing. It's condemned. But yeah, it's Chicago, which I liked. I like when Chicago shows up places. So that's cool. But yeah. So it's in this city of Renwood and some of the surrounding areas, lots of zombies, because Dr. Victor Vasiliev, didn't I write his name in here? Not like it matters. Dr. Victor Vasiliev, that's his name. I thought I was making something up. Dr. Victor Vasiliev, he's the evil scientist, but he's also infected by the virus. The virus is the same virus that's been floating around in Resident Evils for a while, but he's kind of like a stable mutant. Most people who get affected, which is what took over Raccoon City and why it got nuked, which you see in the trailer and which happened in previous Resident Evil games. Nuked from orbit, the government decided to nuke the city to prevent the spread. The virus infects people and within seconds turns them basically into a mindless zombie. Dr. Victor turns a bunch of people into zombies. Like in the street, like Leon sees him. This is also in the trailers. Sees him walking down the street. He's got like a little dart gun with vials of virus. So he just like shoots a couple people as he's walking down, because then they turn into zombies and Leon has to fight him and he can escape. And then you get to like hack up a bunch of random citizens because I guess they're a lost cause, even though Dr. Victor is infected and other people important to the story might be infected, but not completely zombified and maybe still be able to be saved. But for some reason, you just hack apart and blow the brains out of everybody else that gets infected, and that's perfectly fine, I guess. So you got to fight zombies in the game, so that's fine. Just to wrap it up, because I know I'm going kind of long on this. It is designed for being able to flip back and forth between third person and only hands. And I definitely played it third person, and I don't know why. They kind of recommend you play Leon as third person and Grace as only hands, first person view, in theory to get you more immersed in the scary parts. But I don't think that works at all, because when you're first person with Grace, you can't see what's going on with her, and she is what makes it scary. Like, I kept laughing when like the big zombie would jump out. Like, here we go. I would do that kind of thing. I did a couple, jerks in my seat, a little bit of jump scare kind of things going on, because I was waiting for it. It's supposed to be horror. It's supposed to be scary, right? I was, okay, scare me. But then I would keep laughing. Oh, here comes the zombie. He's jumping out of the ceiling. If you watch Grace, though, and you're immersed in like seeing her facial expressions and watching her stumble because she's lost a lot of blood, that adds to the tension. So if you go to first person only hands view and it's just your eyeballs looking at the zombie, you wouldn't get that. It's Grace who makes it scary, because it's her story. It's not yours. You still see her, hear her voice, I guess. So there's that. So I would recommend third person myself, but you might have fun with first person, especially if you're really into first person games. And then, as I said, it's super high quality, and there's going to be a little more stuff for it. So there's going to be a photo mode, I guess, so you can have, candid shots with your arm around your zombie friends. They're adding a new mini game, they said, that's coming in May, and they're adding story DLC that will be coming in the future as well. So good for them. Good for you, Capcom. Crazy concurrency numbers. 5 million sold in the first week. Huge success. I'm making a note here. Huge success. So well done.
I am wrinkling my brow about the minigame concept, because I'm thinking if you play through this engaging horror story, get to know all the characters, and come to the end, then are you going to go back in and play Bejeweled or something? I mean,
I don't know. I mean, there are challenge modes and reasons to play through it multiple times. I don't know what the minigame would fit, though.
Yeah, it must fit. It must. I'm intrigued. Let's put it that way. I'm intrigued to know about how a mini game might fit in.
I wonder if it could almost be so. Leon's got someone that talks in his ear. I think her name is Ingrid. She's part of the HQ and sort of his handler, because he's a field agent. I wonder if it could also be almost like her. It could be the game Dispatch. So when you play Dispatch, there's the cel-shaded narrative stuff that's really fun, and then you switch over to the minigame part, which is the dispatching of, hey, there's these two hotspots. You sort of have to pick between them and send out. So maybe you have to send Leon to them in order and in time, and you're kind of doing an Ingrid minigame. I think that would potentially fit as a possibility. But again, I don't know why you would be looking for that within Resident Evil. So we'll see. We'll see what it is. But that is enough Resident Evil. Recommended, thumbs up, and a breakout hit. Definitely up there for runner-up for Game of the Year. I think this is going to be on a lot of people's lists. We haven't talked about it, but Pocopia, I think, will also be up there, because it's a Steam Deck, or it's a Nintendo Switch exclusive. But boy, that is getting top ratings. It's a Pokemon game, so it's kind of, you get +1 or +2 to every rating because it's Pokemon. But by all accounts, it's also quite a fun, exploration puzzle, kind of little bit of a farming game. I think that could end up being on a Game of the Year nominee. It definitely, I I'm pretty sure it'll be a nominee for Game of the Year on a lot of people's lists. I gotta add that to my notes for Game of the Year candidates. Enough of that. Tell me what you've been doing in WoW, because I know you've been making progress and you got fun things coming up this weekend, don't you, Sema?
Oh yeah,
Lay
I've
it on
been
me.
doing a lot of different new things, new to me things in WoW this week. One of them is I engaged with the new prey system, which is at first it was a little off-putting because the way it's structured is you get this quest to search out and kill your target, right? Um, but the way you do it is you go about your life doing your normal things, and it turns out it's not so random. Once you figure all this out, it gets more and more fun. But at different times, this target that you're chasing actually ambushes you, and then you have to fight them off as well as whatever else you happen to be fighting at the time. And you kill them down to about 50%, and then they take off, they disappear.
They escape. And
And
it's
you get
only an open world, like not in delves and dungeons and
right.
stuff?
It's
Okay.
only an open world, and also I think when you go into the zone where your target is when this happens. Like if you're in another zone, it
Oh,
won't happen.
okay.
And also, I think if you're in, I noticed that when you go to like cities and stuff, the debuff that you have drops off. So I don't think it's going to happen to you if you're in Tranquillian, for instance, in Eversong. Anyway, so that after you do that a number of times, you sort of magically have enough points to go and hunt him down or her down in their lair and fight them for real.
Okay.
So then you go and have that fight and you defeat them, and then you've won that prey. And you can, if you want, go back to the prey headquarters and pick another one off the map to do. And so I started doing more of them because of the potential for gearing up, because you can get some of the currency that you can use to buy gear, right? So I started doing more and more. And at first I was like very kind of nervous to do the hard ones because I didn't know how hard they would be. So I went out in the world, and I was all ready, and I would like only pull one mob at a time. I would never use any of my cooldowns, blah, 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 waiting for this ambush to happen. And it turned out, especially, yeah, it turned out that the ambush would come and I would fight it off just like before. So it wasn't that big of a deal. So now it's more of a little adventure than a like exercise in fear. So when I get a little bit more progress in this system, then I'll get to fight the next higher level of difficulty
Okay.
targets.
And how
So I'm
many
looking forward to that.
tiers of difficulty are there?
I don't know. I know that there's one more for sure, but I bet with each season, maybe it'll get more difficulty. I'm not sure.
Okay.
So I spent some time doing that. And then I also, which I wasn't planning to do this, but I did it. I went into the new system that Blizzard put in for this X pack called Proving It. Well, we've had Proving Grounds before, the word Proving Grounds, but now what it is you actually go in and play a battleground, which is their instance PvP maps.
Yeah.
And your team is all people, but the other team is all AI.
Okay.
Or their NPC bots, whatever you want to call it. And that was wild because the first one I went into, I was not familiar with the map at all, although it turned out to be a very similar game to Arathi Basin, which is a node capture type game. But though the AI people are a way better PvPer than I am right now. I need to get because it takes different abilities and different, like I didn't have fear on a button, for instance. I don't have any curses on buttons because I don't use them in PvP. Like I don't really care yet. I haven't really cared, and doesn't work on a lot of raid mobs. It doesn't work if you do something like Curse of Tongues, which makes them take longer to cast. But it's great in PvP.
Yeah. Right.
Which is
right.
this is like PvPE, PvEP. I don't know. And so it was crazy. And so they play kind of like people too. Like they would they would run in and try to capture the thing. They would use their dot spreads. They would curse everybody. They would tunnel the healers. I mean, it was crazy. It was chaotic because I feel like most of those people, like me, don't know this game, right? Because otherwise, like if you're a skilled PvPer, why would you do this mode?
Right.
And so
And what kind of rewards are you getting? I mean, that's why you're doing it, right?
Yeah, so the reward, well, actually I got honor, which surprised me, and I got some marks of honor, which is currency. But if you do this quest line to its end, there's a hero piece, and that's like a higher level of gear than you can get any other way right now. But that's a 3-week process. So I said, I'm glad I found out about it when I did because I could start it this week and then continue doing it. And it was a fun, wild activity. I was crazy. So I did like 3 battlegrounds in a row. And in the second one I did, everyone was just fighting in the road. And I was like thinking, should I tell them not to do that? Should I tell them to defend things? And I'm like, no, I don't think I will do that. And we won that one so fast.
Okay.
Like, oh, maybe that is what you do in this game. It was fun though. It was fun, and it actually was a lot better for me not killing other players because that's my main thing about PvE. I really don't like that zero sum aspect of it, but this was different because it was the game.
Yeah.
On the other
Right. Yeah, no. That sounds like a useful mode. I wouldn't mind trying it.
Yeah.
I'm surprised though. I actually tried to search videos. There's like no videos on Proving Grounds. So you should make one.
Well, it made me think about whether it would be fun to come in as a healer because like the first group I went with, we had no healer. And I feel like, and that took us a long time to win that game. The second game we won in like 3 minutes. I don't even know how this game works, that could even happen. But we also had a healer.
Okay.
So all I had to do was stand. And I think that really made a difference because it just makes time to kill longer and you're alive longer. It's just, you can do more damage.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was wild.
Cool.
I imagine that will get a little bit more tedious as we go forward, but we'll see. And then I also did some experimenting with the new Delve companion. So Delves are like a solo player dungeon in a way that are scaled for you as a single player, and they have tiers of difficulty. Right now, the
Lots
highest
of tiers of difficulty.
Yeah. Right now, the highest available is tier 7, so that's what I've been playing on. And it's fun getting used to the new companion. She's a rogue, but I have her as a healer, so she heals me with poison gas. But it's good. If you stand in it, it works.
Don't monks in this game heal you by punching you? the monk healers.
No.
I love all those like different. In Star Wars: The Old Republic, the healers shoot you with like healing bullets.
They used to
healing lasers.
That anymore. Yeah, healing lasers.
Yeah.
But yes, so that's going to be another source of gear, but that won't start until the season officially starts.
Okay.
Which is the 17th.
And then if that's the season, what are you doing this weekend?
Oh, that's a good question. Oh, we're doing dungeons this weekend. That's what it was. I was wrong.
Okay. So you're not actually starting the raid.
Yes. That's what I typed. I said raid, but actually it's dungeons. You're right, because the raid won't be out until the beginning of season 1. So that's still around the corner, but the corner is still there. So yes, we're going to do dungeons, possibly do Mythic Zero if we have enough people with gear for it. Other than that, though, we'll be doing heroic, and we did heroics last week, and it was challenging enough for me.
Yeah.
But we need to move into Mythic Zero in order to get the right crests to upgrade our gear with. That's how that works.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is part of the fun of that gear grind in WoW, which is the game, which is a key part of the game.
Yeah, and I'm going to be doing between now and next reset, which is on a Tuesday, I've been doing a lot more of the praise system because after I did the max on it, then they start offering you a random one. So you can't pick the zone or anything. But I did one random one and it still gave me crests, even though I had done only the first 4 are supposed to give you crests. But I guess if you do the random ones, then you can start getting crests again. So I'm going to see how far I can take that.
Oh,
See how
great.
many. Yeah.
Yeah. Get some extras.
Yes.
Well, cool. That sounds good. I kind of have fallen off because I did a little bit of Resident Evil and something else still that I'll talk about next, but does make me want to get back in there. But I got to go play the Star Wars story too. So
Yeah. Yeah. That's on my list as well.
and ship a game. I got to do that too. little
Yeah.
things like that. Cool. Well, I did play a little bit on the side still, Rust on the public server. Partially raid quit, but then logged in again this morning for
I was
10
going to say
minutes.
you played again after.
Yep.
You got ransacked, huh?
Yeah. I rage quit and then I got back in and then so last Thursday was the first Thursday of the month, and the way this server works, which is half PvE, half PvP, is the first Thursday of the month is a full wipe and everybody starts from 0. Then the third Thursday or the middle Thursday, the first Thursday and this third Thursday, I guess. The middle of the month wipe is you get to keep your skill. There's kind of like a little skill system, which doesn't really do much at all. And your unlocks, and the unlocks are kind of a big deal. You get to keep all your unlocks, your gear, sort of like your crafting progression and your skills, but everything else wipes completely on the server. So that's the fun of this for everybody. Is every month it's a fresh start. You spend like the first few days just trying to get everything unlocked again, get a base set up, get a foundation going. Kuda from AIE. It's mostly just him and me on this, but it's a public server, so there's 20 people on the server at least at all times, probably more in popular times. And if you go to any of the PvP, like in the monuments where it's a PvP area, it's full PvP, full loot PvP. Your base can't get raided unless you don't log in for 36 hours. And because I made a couple mistakes last time and got wiped, but it was fine. So it just reset on Thursday. Nothing too bad has happened since Thursday, except I had like one little glitch that kind of bothered me a little bit. Most people are kind of like really friendly and cooperative, but we'll still PvP in the PvP areas because that's kind of the fun of the game. But I was in a PvE area. I was fighting these NPCs, which are kind of hard. You're starting out. You're trying to get a couple of a key resource to upgrade your stuff. And I died. And so you have to corpse run, get back to your corpse. And there's another player who came into the area, and they must have gotten there. Because I heard shooting after I died. They looted my stuff, and most people don't. So not only did I die, but I also lost my stuff, which I shouldn't have, and that kind of sucked. I could have chased him down and asked him about it and confronted him, but I was like, oh, lesson learned. First of all, I shouldn't have died to those NPCs. I should get better.
Did you say you did chase him down and confront him, or you should have?
I could, like Kuda was saying, oh, you probably could have just, gone and found him and asked him for your stuff back. Most people will give you your stuff back. But I was like,
oh yeah, I would never do that.
It's like,
never ask that. Yeah.
I mean, he saw me come back and then was busy shooting something else and then took off. He didn't ask, is this your stuff? So I was like, okay, lesson learned. I won't do that again. I did lose a really nice gun though, which I was kind of angry about. And then I was like, maybe I'm not going to play this game anymore, which at some point I'm not going to play the game anymore, but it does that thing, which is really fun, which is the first few days of trying to establish things and get a fast start, right? I was experimenting with a bunch of the new systems that I haven't played since they've been introduced into Rust. And I did get those up and running. I was raising chickens. I still am. I've got 2 chicken coops. I've got beehives and thousands of honey now and hundreds of eggs, which are pretty useless. So I learned the systems. I had this plan to turn that into basically the currency that allows you to unlock all of your progression tree. But it doesn't really work on this kind of server for a couple specific reasons. Like you can't actually kill the chickens because it's a PvE server. And that was a key aspect of what I needed. I needed the meat from the chickens to do a different thing, which would have gave me a lot of scrap currency. So I was like, oh, well, crap. All I can get from them is eggs, I guess.
So not being a PvP server extends to chickens?
Because they're like part of your base. Yeah. So you can't damage them because you're part of your base. You can't, and other people can't. Like other people can't come kill your chickens.
Right.
But one of the core reasons to raise chickens is for the meat.
Right.
Because then I could have put the meat in the fish traps, and then the fish you can turn in at the fishing village for a lot of this scrap currency, and you can get rich, I tell you. Same thing with the bees. Mostly the bees would be useful to feed the honey to the chickens, the honeycomb to the chickens, and then kill the chickens and get the meat. But again, I have thousands of honey because I made too many beehives, which would be pretty much free. I also was doing some farming. You kind of do some farming, but I farmed the wrong thing again because of the type of server. In the base game, you can only sell in very small amounts to get the currency. There is one crop, the hemp for cloth. So you can sell cloth in large amounts on this particular server in a kind of like an add-on village that they've got. So that's what I should have been farming if I wanted to. So I'm like, but that's fine. So now I've learned it. I may play through the wipe just to get a little bit of a fast start to see how well I can do. It's more fun at the beginning of the month because everybody's going to have everything 100% unlocked now. And the second half of the month is going to be mostly about like PvP, I guess. But I also built a boat. That's a new thing in Rust. So I built myself a kind of like a sailing ship, and you can sail to this new zone that spawns every couple hours called Deep Sea. And there's new NPCs and sites to go get, fun loot at and that kind of thing too. It's interesting to see it. I would either want to get the rest of the survival crew, the new Overlords survival bros, to come play Rust again, or if they don't want to do that, to find out what people want to do and get the gang back together. Because we've got at least a few of us that are still playing Ark. I would just go back and play more Ark, or get the crew back together and start over in 7 Days to Die or something.
Yeah.
And get Kuda to come play those with us too. So pick Kuda up. He is a Rust expert though. Corley is also a Rust expert, but is not playing right now. I think because he's doing what you're doing in World of Warcraft and in Star Wars: The Old Republic. So he doesn't have time for Rust this round. So that's what I've been doing. We'll see. We'll see what I'm going to do this weekend though. I'm probably going to try Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. Because and there's Machete. Yeah. Okay, Machete. Let's catch up, Machete, and find out what we need to play and get you and Stask. It's more what Stask and Corley will come play with us, right? And whoever else can. Yeah. And there's more to do in Ark. In fact, Astraeos in Ark, the Astraeos map just got a bunch of updates for anybody that's still playing Ark, including a new boss to fight, I believe, a bunch of new stuff in Astraeos. So we could all go jump back in there and do some of the new things and evolve what we have. But Stask and Corley aren't playing Ark. So we should figure that out, Machete, and figure out what we want to play. All right. I think that is it for today. Anything else before we wrap up, Sema?
Nope, I think that's it.
All right. We should play the SWTOR story and have a story discussion. Probably not next week, because that'll still be a little bit early. But maybe the week after we do a story. We cover the story of what we saw and what we felt.
Maybe not next week, but soon and in good company.
Yes. Soon and every day for the rest of your life. Maybe not now, maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but soon. And for the rest of your life, we will talk about Star Wars: The Old Republic.
It probably will.
I'm shocked to find gambling. That was a Casablanca reference for people that didn't get it. Cool. Well, that is it then. All the feed and subscribe links for this show are on newoverlords.com, and our video is up on YouTube/newoverlords. Please come chat with us in our Discord at newoverlords.com/Discord. And you can also follow on all the social networks, and we will keep you up to date there too. And with that, we will talk to you soon.
Later, everyone.